I haven't got I haven't gotten to the point where he actually covers the Vosh versus TYT fight yet. But all I can say is like everybody in this video are they're all awful people. Oh my god, even. You're all awful people. Okay? Um Oftentimes you make judgments that you think are just going to be clickbait and don't do what's right for society. And I don't know why Anna is trying to tank her career right now, but like she's not even mentioned in the title of this video. I didn't even know she was going to come up. Okay. Let's watch this.
Now, I'm not here to try and defend Vosh's transphobic, queerphobic, or perhaps even racist past, okay? It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to defend his potential racist future. That's right, baby.
Oh my god.
You know what's wild about this whole drama cycle? And I was just talking about this earlier. A lot of people usually accuse me of like doing stuff for clout. Like, oh, Lance is just trying to get some clout. That's why he's going after this person. But you know, a lot of the time, I'm like, it's not fun. It's not fun when you turn off the internet, but then the internet keeps going in your brain all the time.
No, but there's a point to this that you keep uplifting these particular stories and telling us that we need to look at it. We got to look at these people. I don't know that we necessarily do. I'm not positive that they actually have enough viewership that it matters. Maybe they do. Maybe you know something that I don't. But these just seem like cartoon characters who have really extreme opinions. And it's just whatever. Okay, let's go.
When you're just like, you can't forget about that last comment, and then that's why, like, I try not to use Twitter after a certain time at night, because like if people saw like 3 a.m. tweets by me, oh wow, you know, like, oh, but I don't get any credit for the things I don't tweet out, but I should get so much credit for the 2 a.m. tweets I'm not making, because if I was pumping out 2 a.m. tweets, man, in the morning I would give my enemies so much ammunition against me. But anyways, so I got into a bit of a heated argument with Anna Kasparian over Anna Kasparian, in my opinion. Oh wow, she's starting to trend. It's happening, everyone. In my opinion, a very poor framing of Portugal's decriminalization and what has happened since, and how a defunding of a lot of the programs that were pretty essential for the pillars that Portugal enacted in terms of both drug access to rehabilitation, stuff like that, the underfunding of those programs, and then the change of giving those programs out to private corporations has resulted in less than perfect results. The way she was framing it obviously gives a lot of ammunition to a lot of people who are either center right or people who want to further again things like propaganda and anti or draconian drug laws and make it look like it's not all fairy tales and roses, right? Even if you decriminalize, there's a lot of problems that can happen down the road, but then it's like, yeah, but those problems aren't because of the decriminalization of the drugs. Those problems are almost decidedly because of, again, the underfunding or defunding of these very essential programs, that kind of stuff, right? So anyways, I got into it with Anna. We went back and forth. That was on July 19th. Yeah. And then after retweeting Ben Burgess, Lee Fang, and Unusual Whales, she stopped. She stopped tweeting for a long time. I don't know if she left Twitter alone or just...
He doesn't go deep enough into the fact that Lee Fang is an RT personality and has been for many years. He's one of these loudmouth, thinks he's a comedian guys that has a show on RT who is constantly bashing America and everything we stand for. Russia Today, y'all. I mean, it's a Russian government funded operation. That's why Fiorello went over there. That's why Jackson Hinkle went over there. Because they have no fucking moral values whatsoever. And they're just like, whoa, you're offering me a paycheck, right?
decided not to tweet. And one of the reasons I bring this up is because people were still like, Lance, why is Anna still talking about you? And it was just because she hadn't tweeted since. And so I think they were just checking out her account and being like, whoa, the top posts are all about, what is it? The silly serfs guy who thinks that women should be getting abortions in the 9th month. And that's what I've been fighting for. And the rest of the left is as well. Anna just wouldn't get on part of the program. And by the way, it sucks more than anything to see all of this happening, Anna going after other lefties and blah, blah, blah. And yes, people pointed out that we actually had almost an identical take. Actually, you know what? Just to be completely fair, I want to show our two takes side by side.
I want to say something about abortion. As someone who is firmly in favor of reproductive rights, I want to tell you guys and your audience that the vast majority of us do not agree with what Lance said on Tim Pool's show.
But you were talking about how women, how like disgusted you are that women may have an abortion in the 9th month, right? Or even
a viable baby.
Of a viable baby.
That
and
could
and
live.
I wanted to scream at that time, being like, women who have abortions in the 9th month, they're not doing that because they got bored. Or all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't care anymore. They do that because it's a fucking tragedy. Like, statistically, women who are getting abortions in the 9th month is because there's a medical complication.
I can't even with these. Like, all of them. All of them are fucking stupid. Because when you're in your 3rd trimester, it is no longer an abortion. Okay? Because Casey versus Planned Parenthood, which was the law of the land at the time, meant that if the fetus was viable, meaning it could breathe on its own, it could be resuscitated, whatnot, on the outside of the womb. In the case of like a medical emergency, such as like a premature birth. I mean, people have preemies all the time. I mean, fucking assholes with your bullshit about like, oh yeah, this is an abortion. What? Okay, so what happens in the case of preemies when you've got twins, triplets, whatnot, and you end up having to deliver early because of medical complications? That is not an abortion, assholes. It's not an abortion. They don't kill the babies when they come out. They try and save them because you are now in the 3rd trimester. That's not the same thing as having an abortion to terminate a pregnancy during trimester 1 or trimester 2.
That could kill them.
False
That's why
argument.
they have to do it.
So first off, Tim gave him like a ridiculous hypothetical of like a healthy pregnancy at 9 months, and the woman
Right.
just decides like, I went through the torture of being pregnant for 9 months, and I've decided to end my healthy pregnancy, right before I'm going to deliver.
Right.
No one's in favor of that. Okay, no one, literally no one. I guess except for Lance.
Pregnant, the baby is viable and capable of surviving on its own.
Sure.
And she says before it breaches oxygen, kill it. Do you think that should be allowed?
This
It's
is again the
not
baby
allowed.
guillotines. This is why I brought that up.
But
what a weird scenario. This doesn't happen. This is not the real world.
So I don't know what Lance really thinks.
Yeah.
But the only time abortions happen in the 3rd trimester, first of all, they're always tragic, they're always awful, and it's because the woman's life is in danger.
Yeah.
Okay? It's never because the woman was lazy and decided that she wanted to do it last minute.
I don't think women on the 9th month get abortions with viable living children and then be like, I don't want it, kill it. I don't think that happens.
I don't know why Lance did that. I think it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
And look, I don't think it makes sense to make all abortion illegal in the 3rd trimester. There are some rare instances
Of course,
where
yes,
if the woman's
yes.
life is in danger, right? But be clear about that. Just be clear about that.
So 88% of abortions are in the first 12 weeks. 88.
Yeah.
88% of abortions. Less than 1.3% of abortions take place near the 8th or 9th month.
How many?
Oh, what's happening?
So you all kind of saw that, right? Like, you understand
I've been going to therapy.
that we're basically essentially talking about the same thing. But what Tim Pool wants to do is he wants to take little pieces and clips. He tried to do the same thing in regards to calling Emma Vigeland a pedophile. Take small little bits and clips and use those moments to be able to be like, hey, by the way, do you know what the left is advocating for now? They're just trying to get women to have abortions in the 9th month. Like, why is Lance advocating? And
No, but it's also very clear that Anna's on that payroll too. because there is no reason that she should have been trying to propagate that type of messaging. Because that's obviously not what Lance said. And like, I'm not a fan of any one of these people. I'm gonna be real with you.
And he's also saying that he's fine with women smoking crystal meth and having abortions in the 9th month. Like, you would have to be so disingenuous to take that one little soundbite or moment, because, again, he eventually got to a moment where you do get a soundbite of me saying, I am morally opposed to that, but I don't think that I should have the ability to take away someone's bodily autonomy through legislation, when I think it can be, again, life-saving for women to be able to have access to that kind of healthcare, such as having,
We literally do not have the right to kill babies in the 3rd trimester. That doesn't fucking happen. Okay? We have, like, premature births. Or we remove stillborns. But that's about it. Like, it's not... This is like fantasy. This is some shit fantasy that the GOP came up with to demonize women.
medical procedure, not an abortion in the 9th month. But anyways, that was like basically the last kind of things that Anna had tweeted about. And then fast forward to today. And so that brings us to Babam. So this account says, "You're garbage, Vosh. I don't respect you, which is why I don't want to talk to you, Anna Kasparian." Meanwhile, who she talks to. And that's, I was thinking the exact same thing, right? Like, first off, can we just get this out of the way? And I've said this often, and people are going to use that clip of me laughing as soon as I found out what Vosh has said, because when I found out that he had said the things that he had said, I burst out. I was like, because I was just like, wow, that's honestly out of shock. But in terms of advocacy, yes, obviously, don't use names and terms or slurs that dehumanize other groups of people, even if it's in service of propping up other groups, right? Like, you don't get to prop up other groups by punching down on other groups simultaneously, even if you happen to be part of those groups, right? Like, I'm bi or pan on any given day. I haven't figured it out, but like, I'm not going to call people the F slur in a derogatory way, right? Like, I'll call myself the F slur, and then I'll call my friends F slurs who happen to be F slurs. But then when it gets down to it, right? Like, I'm not going to call someone the F slur as an insult, because then that gives the same people who use it as an insult power. That old chestnut. That being said, now that I've gotten my woke ink out, if that's the rule, then why are you doing this? Because then Anna says, "Unlike Vosh, Shapiro never once called me the R slur or a bitch over disagreements. That's how big boys who don't snort addies during unhinged streams act. I don't owe anyone a conversation or a debate, but I especially have no interest in antisocial creeps like Vosh. Simple. You have absolutely no reason to ever have the platform Vosh. You don't have to do that."
Oh my god. Like, seriously. I mean, Anna, what are you doing with your career right now? Like, first of all, you're lifting up Ben Shapiro in that post. And, I mean, I don't care if you want to come after Vosh. Vosh is kind of a horrible live streamer to begin with. He's transphobic. He's homophobic. Well, I mean, from what I understand, he's actually a gay man, but like, for some reason he's got really weird belief systems on that. But you know what? I know other gay men who also do, so it's not totally unusual. But he also supports incels and the whole culture of rape, for that incels somehow are entitled to rape or entitled to sex. So I stopped following him a long time ago because his belief systems are so bizarre. But I don't think you can be like, well, there's this one villain and then there's this other villain, and this one villain is better than this other villain because XYZ. I don't think that's the case. Like, you don't prop up either villain, period. Like, you're just like, they're both assholes, and let's be done with them.
No one is under any, like, pressure to platform people. There should be two-way consent, even in, like, debates. If someone's like, debate me, and then the other person's like, nah, then that's as far as it goes, right? Like, I'll agree with that. But you've already had Vosh on the show before. Anna interviewed Vosh 7 months ago to talk about, what is the problems circulating men and what can the left do, that kind of topic. So she's had him on the show. They've already had conversations. And if there's someone who calls people names, holy fuck. Holy shit. I'd be hard pressed to find a single daily stream of Ben Shapiro where he is not calling trans people dehumanizing language, calling them insane, calling them all kinds of fucking horrible things. He intentionally misgenders them. He intentionally never uses the right pronouns. He is actually fucking famous for never using the proper pronouns. He'll say that as a point of fucking pride. He'd be like, yeah, no, I'm never going to call he a she or she he ever. I'm never going to do that, even if you want to, because it's just not biologically reality. That's what he became famous for. He was saying that to a trans woman at the time, and eventually she was like, if you keep talking like this, you're going to wind up in a hospital or something like that. That's one of the most famous early Ben Shapiro viral clips that came out. So Ben Shapiro has a lifetime of calling trans people the worst fucking names in the world. He does nothing but call them names. And I'm going to be honest, by the way, this entire thing, it's only the left who are immature and call people names. The right don't do that. On my Tim Pool debate, I didn't call, and I do call him names. I'm not saying I'm above that. I do it all the fucking time. But I didn't call Tim Pool a single name that entire debate. He said that I wanted to genocide autistic people, that I wanted to genocide trans people, that I was a member of a cult, that I was literally insane and brainwashed as a member of being in that cult, all in the same fucking debate, right? And that's okay. I imagine, again, it's not something that surprises me. It's something that you expect because you're, again, debating a completely political opposite to you. So you're probably going to get a little bit heated. But the very idea that, oh, no, the right don't do name calling at all. The argument you could put forward is that the right are incredibly hospitable and sometimes to a grifty degree, which is true. It is really weird to me sometimes. You'll see things like Tim Pool being like, why doesn't Emma Vigeland want to grab sushi? And in my head, I'm like, why do you want to grab sushi? I don't want to go out for fucking drinks with the far right. That sounds terrible. I fucking hate these people. These are people who advocate for profit, for people like me not to exist. I don't want to just turn the lights off, turn the cameras off, and then go grab a beer and a burger. What the fuck is up with that shit? I don't understand it. So for Tim Pool to be like, why doesn't Sam Cedar love my fucking half pipe? Why doesn't fucking Emma Vigeland want to grab sushi? Why do you? I don't get it. Again, these are people advocating for genocidal policies. Ben Shapiro owns the Daily fucking Wire. The Daily fucking Wire is the one that has both Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles asking for the eradication of trans people. They are a major network and platform that have millions and millions of dollars, both from funding through right-wing organizations, as well as because of the fact that a lot of people are willing to support this fucking empire bigotry. They have fucking $50 million to just throw casually at Steven Crowder. And that's a calculated risk that they feel is an investment. They're going to get a return on investment by giving him $50 million. So Daily Wire has a lot of fucking money. That fracking money, absolutely. And Daily Wire is consistently trying to enact vilification, unscientific rhetoric, unscientific nonsense by pundits who are paid handsomely to put out genocidal rhetoric towards trans people. That's the Daily Wire. I'm sorry, Michael Knowles, you don't get to say that you want to eliminate, transgenderism from society. You don't get to say that, well, I wasn't saying trans people, I was saying transgenderism. Ooh, woo. Didn't actually say
no living being.
Anything too intense. Ooh, woo. Retract, please, or I'll sue you. Ooh, woo. All that kind of weird ass shit. So honestly, fuck Ben Shapiro. Fuck the Daily Wire. Now, does that mean you can't go debate Ben Shapiro? No. Good. Ben Shapiro platform me. Hell yeah. I'll be there in a fucking instance. Ben Shapiro is very, very famous. That's not what I consider platforming. He's platforming me. So, I have nothing wrong with fucking Anna Kasparian going out and debating Ben Shapiro, even though I know a lot of people on the left did.
No, what's the point of this? What is the point of this? Because if you're going to go on Ben Shapiro's show, then you're going to pander to his audience so that you get more viewers, right? So you're basically looking for people who definitely do not believe the same things as you do. Unless you're lying about your belief system, right, Anna? Right? So basically, the only reason you would go on a show like that, the only reason you would do Fox News and stuff like that isn't to introduce new ideas. It's to say, I'm like you. I know what you believe. I get you. I'm just as racist and homophobic and transphobic and sexist, ableist. You know, I'm in all the same places as you, and so therefore I'm relatable, right? That's why you go on a show like that, is to try and actually like build up your following by having an appearance like that. And sorry, but that's not the army of voters that we need to make changes in America. That is not the place to go.
I do not. The same thing applies to, like, you know, if Vosh wanted to debate Ben Shapiro, which he wouldn't do, but, like, yeah, I wouldn't go after Vosh for that, right? That's how big boys who don't snort addies during unhinged streams act. I don't know anyone a conversation or debate, but I especially have no interest in antisocial creeps like Vosh. Simple. If name calling is the thing, then why are you calling him a junkie? If like it's like I'm against people who call names. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to support or endorse Vosh calling Anna the arsler, or Vosh calling Anna a bitch. I'm not here to endorse that. That's not, again, in service of calling someone out for being a turf. I don't see the utility. And this is me, my personal feelings, right? I don't see the utility in, then again, once again, punching down into other groups for that, as in associating R slurs with being negative, that kind of shit. It's punching downward, yeah. But then you don't get to use that as a moral high ground and then right away start name calling, right? I've never understood, by the way, the internet's fascination with a lot of neurodivergent prescriptions typically being a point of entry for insulting someone. That also doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because people who have a variety of different, neurodivergent conditions will take things like Adderall, or what's the other one? There's a whole bunch of them. They're basically highly refined amphetamines and stimulants in order to, for people who have ADHD, for example, there's a lot of the aspect where you don't, I believe, it's either serotonin or dopamine, one of the two, you don't produce it in such a way that you can always acknowledge sometimes other people's responses as being normal. And then for people who do have like forms of ADHD, can help it. I'm on SSRIs. Well, yeah, that's the same thing. If it's SSRIs, if it's like Prozac or something else like that, it's a weird thing to try to go after people with, too, just as an insult, right? I'm not here to say which is worse, right? I don't give two fucks about the scales of insults or anything like that. But it is weird how the internet does that. It is weird how the internet, like, I know they were going after Trump for a long time, too, being like, Trump's fucking crushing the Addies, and then he's snorting Adderall all the time, and then he's like, hi, this is the mind of a man on Adderall, blah, 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 constantly is...
By the way, I've always been curious about this. Like, why would you snort Adderall? It's like a tablet. I mean, I raised a child with ADHD. We tried Adderall. We did Concerta. We did a couple different types of medications, but they were all oral. What's the call me stupid, I guess, or just naive. I'm not understanding how snorting it is. I don't get it. Like, why would you crush it up and snort it? I just don't even get that at all.
Is like a form of vilification, right? Lol, all someone has to do is stroke your ego and you'll work with them. That's what you're saying. That's fucking right. I don't know if this is a joke. I hope it's a joke, because if it's not, like... But anyways, it did this. We got this. Daily Wire. Mm-hmm. They spin fast. Daily Wire is just like... Blah, 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 blah. Anna Kasparian lauded Shapiro's fairness after being mocked again for speaking with him. Anna Kasparian. By the way, she's not mocked in this instance distinctly for the fact that she did this. She's being mocked for doing that and then picking and choosing who she won't speak with. The hypocrisy of saying, I don't talk to anyone, blah, 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 who's like, I don't respect. And then being like, so what, you respect Shapiro? Is the way they're trying to spin this, right? Anna Kasparian, co-host of the popular progressive online news show The Young Turks, lauded Daily Wire editor Emeritus Ben Shapiro's fairness in a conversation with someone who pillared her for conducting interviews and debates with him. The pair had a debate back in 2021, and Kasparian was welcome on Shapiro's Sunday special show for an hour-long sit-down interview this year, which was depressing. I didn't even make a segment out of it because I went into that back around when everyone still didn't believe that, Anna was going to go down this turf arc. But, this was well before that when I didn't really have a lot of things to say negatively about Anna outside of the why is she always pushing up against prison abolitionists like Olayemi when Olayemi has been so clear and concise in explaining all of this, right? Like Olayemi was on their show and did not resort to name calling, did not resort to screaming and say what you will about what it is to have to be a black woman in these spaces, especially in combative political spaces. And then afterwards, they were like, well, okay, when you put it like that to a certain amount of things, this doesn't sound so outlandish, this doesn't sound so outrageous. And then right afterwards, both of them, both Cenk and Anna, both of them doing this whole there's these leftists that apparently they call themselves abolitionists, and they're just completely fine. With someone who took a brick to some old lady's face, they just want them to be out on the streets. They want all the brick smashers to be out on the streets. The people with the madness, right? This is not going to win us elections. This does not win elections. And it's like, well, yeah, if that's what they genuinely believed, I agree. And also, if that's what they advocated for, I agree on both counts. That would probably be bad. But they don't, and they don't. I've been accused of the same thing in relation to this abortion shit, where it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but we got to call it out, all right? Lance of the Serfs, he wants the women to have abortions in the 9th month and smoke crystal meth. Insanity. Guy's insane. What can I say? That doesn't win us elections. Not only does that not win us elections, but at the end of the day, it's just poor messaging on behalf. And he doesn't speak for us, the left. That part's true. I don't. No one speaks for anyone. If you're a leftist, you're not a leftist because of,
But I think the larger question is, why are Cenk and Anna getting these right-wing talking points when they have real leftists telling them what the actual argument is, and they just completely disregard these arguments and pretend like they didn't hear them or they didn't hear them correctly, and they're just twisting and turning the argument around to be a GOP talking point. What is your goddamn goal, Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian and Vosh, with your incel bullshit?
Your favorite content creator is a leftist, or your favorite blah, blah. Deep in your core, you're eventually going to reach that road because it's what you are looking at in terms of the rest of the world and how everything operates. And then you want answers. And then you're like, why does this cause this? And then you're like, that causes that because of that. And then eventually, as you work your way down a pathway, you'll be like, okay, so why is our economic system producing these outcomes? Are those outcomes fair? They're not. And that's why they replicate. And that's why it gets bigger and worse. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I guess, I am a leftist in that I think that workers should own the means of production. It has nothing to do with the fact that Hassan Piker is really hot. I mean, that's cool that those two things line up, right? Hassan Piker is very, very hot. And also, I think workers should own the means of production. But if Hassan Piker stopped being hot, or if he suddenly...
Wow, that's funny that you think that. I mean, I'm a lot older than you guys, so... I think Hassan comes across as very distractible, very ADHD. He's definitely outside of my 10-year window. But no, I don't call him hot. I think he's funny at times and he has some good takes. But for the most part, he irritates the fuck out of me because he can't stay on topic. He's constantly getting distracted. It's really frustrating. But that's just a pet peeve. And sometimes I don't agree with his takes. Sometimes I feel like he's taking a very immature approach to a topic. And I've said as much in various videos that I've covered.
he turned out to be some kind of like neo-Nazi, and I didn't like him anymore. That's fine. That wouldn't change this thing.
What?
The same thing applies to when both sides are being mean to you. Because, like, TYT has been kind of mean to me for a while now, right? They've been making up lies. They've been twisting and contorting what I've been saying. And I've also got Jank doing the most amazing impression of me that exists on the internet. But, like, you know, saying things that are just fundamentally not true. Okay, I'll name a name. Lance of the Serfs. Yeah, he's so pure. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I'm glad that's there. But yeah, but that doesn't change the fact now. I'm not like, oh, well, some progressives were mean to me. You know, fuck all those beliefs and ideas. You know, if Vosh is mean to you, that's kind of on brand, right? Vosh is mean to a lot of people. That doesn't or shouldn't change your beliefs relative to whether or not you think. Like, if you genuinely sit by that standard, right? I don't like name callers. I don't like people who call each other people names, call each other bad things, you know, like drug addicts and junkies or stuff like that. I don't like that. And so because of all of that, because I'm against people doing that, that's why I wouldn't speak to someone like Vosh. I'm far better with someone who doesn't call people names like Ben Shapiro. And then I'm just left
Clean up your room.
aghast, because I'm like, well, yeah, but Ben Shapiro won't stop calling trans people the worst things in the world. He's famous for misgendering. He's famous for using the wrong pronouns. He says as a point of pride all the time, I will never call a he a she or a she a he. And it's like, cool story, bro. You're a dick. Like, that's all I think when he's like, well, what about these fucking medical procedures? 6-year-olds irreversible. It's like, gender affirming care for a 6-year-old is affirming their gender. That's it. Just use the pronouns they want. Use the name they're asking you to name. Just because you can't be a dick, and even though like it shows demonstratably, study after study, that it will alleviate, ameliorate, or improve their mental health dramatically. That's just so utterly pathetic then. That you are intentionally going to go out of your way. It's more work, by the way. It's more work to try and misgender and misremember someone's like chosen name and then go through all that to make children's lives more scary, dangerous, and can result in an increase in suicidal ideation. That's fucked up. That's pathetic. Like, you're honestly, you're disgusting. Ben Shapiro. In a post published Thursday on X, Kasparian suggested she is willing to speak to Shapiro because he has shown her respect. While she reserves the right to reject conversation with others, she doesn't find
Is this what doing your laundry looks like? Wouldn't you love it if it looked like this instead?
respectful, even if they happen to be on the left, politically, as she is. Just a reminder there for y'all. Unlike Vosh, Shapiro never once called me the R slur or B over disagreements, Kasparian wrote. That's how big boys who don't snort addies during unhinged streams act. I don't know anyone in conversation or a debate. That part is true. But I especially have no interest in antisocial creeps, like Vosh. Yeah. Kasparian has taken heat from some extremists on the left for engaging with Shapiro, one of the most prominent figures in conservative media. In 2021, Shapiro and Kasparian debated topics like education, critical race theory, and the news media during a discussion headlining Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry's annual dinner. During the debate, Kasparian seemed to address the backlash she received from the left for engaging in conversation, emphasizing that it was Shapiro who was platforming her since he had a bigger audience than hers, and his audience isn't crying about it. And I completely agree with that. I agree. Ben Shapiro was platforming Anna Kasparian, and I find it strange for people to have lost their minds over that aspect. I was complaining because when she was brought onto his show, they barely debated. That's my complaint. Not that she went on his show. Fucking, yeah, take that opportunity. Hell yeah. It's the reason I went on to Tim Pool's show. But, like, it didn't feel like a debate. It felt like he just spent the first third of it whining about the left. And of course, Ben Shapiro's going to love that and agree with everything, right? He's going to be there and he's going to be like, oh, yeah, those wacky leftists, aren't they wacky? And it's like, yeah, oh, they totally are wacky. Yeah, they were mad for me to even come on the show. Really? Can you talk about how wacky they are? Oh, they're so wacky. Wait till I talk about how wacky they are here on your show for at least fucking 1/3 of it. Let's do it. Yeah, they were just chatting. It's like, what the fuck? Going to be insufferable for a second to make an important point to those who want to excuse me for being sort of a demon for allegedly platforming another demon just by debating Shapiro. Kasparian started a 4-thread tweet. I went before a room of literally thousands of people who disagree with me. Hell yeah, I agree with all this. That took fucking balls. I'm sick of being underestimated because of attacking as some sort of bimbo. Yeah, I don't care. I agree with you there. I wish the left was more confident. Kasparian closed the thread. I wish that people kept...
You know, I really wish that y'all weren't just like constantly being like, we're all friends, and so therefore we can't be too critical of each other's performance because we still have to maintain our media relations, right? Still got to maintain our media relations. Look, you're in an area of media that is very specifically about your moral values, right? Your political belief system, your moral values. So if somebody's fucking up, which Anna is, stop giving her passes. I don't give her credit for sitting in front of a Ben Shapiro audience and acting like it took balls to do that. She already knew that she has transitioned her thinking to something more in line with what he agrees with. This is kind of like when Tulsi Gabbard kept doing interviews with Tucker Carlson, and he was acting like he had a schoolboy crush on her. And he was given, like, every other guest he had, he acted like daytime drama, like Jerry Springer or something. It was just like really over the top kind of interviews. But whenever it was Tulsi Gabbard, he acted like he had such a crush on her and he just agreed with everything she said. And I just don't think that your assessment of this, of her somehow coming to a combative situation, be like, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. No, you shouldn't, because she very clearly was not given a situation that was a debate situation, and you already said this. You already said it wasn't a debate.
I'm saying that as if like the left is some online monolith. Because honestly, the people who are like, fucking, the left is just a bunch of fucking tankies online, that's all they are. It's like, the left, if you want to say broadly speaking, are people who are literally dying in the streets right now, or dying in the Amazon rainforest because indigenous people are fighting to not have deforestation there. There are people who are literally fucking being shot by the police in Colombia. There are people who are literally fucking being jailed by their political opponents in a variety of different countries across the world. There are people who are winning elections in a lot of Central and South America. The left, broadly speaking, around the world is a bunch of different things, but it's certainly not these, like, you know, terminally online entertainers. We're entertainers. It's what we are. I'm an entertainer. I try to do some activism, try to do some real world stuff for sure. But when I'm talking to you on the internet, I'm trying to entertain you, and I'm enjoying the fact that I can, because I like doing that. It's fucking, I like being able to make people laugh and feel better about themselves. This is worth a read. Anna Kasparian gets it exactly right. It's just so bizarre to be like, yeah, Vosh, mean. Ben Shapiro, astute. And then, of course, Adam and Sitch. Vosh behaves like a misogynist all the time. That's his go-to attack on any woman who dares to challenge him on anything. Yet because Vosh supports abortion in the third trimester... What? Again, even the centrists are trying to pick apart this whole thing, where it's just like, oh, yeah, you know, that's what they want. That's what all of us are fighting for, us lefties. We want you to have as many abortions as you can in the third trimester. Yeah. We want you to smoke as much crystal meth as possible when you're pregnant. Doesn't matter if you're a woman or a birthing person. Yeah, I know. I want birthing people to be able to smoke as much crystal meth as they desire. And then birthing people and women can have as many abortions as they need to in the 9th month. That's the left. That's the battle of the left. That's what we're trying to achieve. And we'll get there eventually. You know, you give us enough time. Yeah. With their bonus holes. Yes. Birthing people with... And that's the problem with all this, by the way. This whole thing is that these are non-issues. They're non-problems. Okay, that there is no fight amongst the left to be able to fight for women's right to choose exclusively in the 9th month. That's not a fight. There's no fight amongst the left for women to not be called women anymore and only be called birthing persons. There's no fight on the left to refer to vaginas henceforth only as bonus holes, for it could isolate and ostracize women. And yes, by the way, that there is a lot of problems with there being a difference under a patriarchal society between the way we treat women, the way we treat men, and absolutely there's going to be a difference between women being erased out of the conversation because they've been erased so many times in the past. That is true. There has been the erasure of women from a lot of different both conversations and spaces, you name it, throughout history for a long time. They weren't even allowed in the workforce. That was very recent that we thought, hey, women should be allowed to vote and own credit cards. See? Like that's pretty fucked up that we did that for so long, you know. So there's that whole thing. But like all this being said, at the end of the day, that there is progress being made. Absolutely, the progress cannot come at the expense of other marginalized communities. You should not, punch sideways to punch down. Stuff like that is all true. But come on. Ben fucking Shapiro. We're defending Ben Shapiro as being nice now. Ben Shapiro's fucking got to be one of the biggest transphobic pieces of shit in the game, without question. Funding an entire network of transphobia. Couldn't get any worse. Fucking sucks. Oh, and by the way, yeah, I'm not here to defend Vosh's anti-LGBTQ plus takes. Hey, in full transparency, I will now play the video, the old footage that Anna Kasparian has found.
Community online, particularly the LGBT community, is cancerous as fuck. If you're not an idiot, you will agree with me on this. If you have any fucking experience with online like LGBT or leftist discourse, you know it's cancerous as fuck. You understand this. People are hyper fragile. There's a ton of mental illness. And you can't convert these people. They're not reasonable. They have to be excised from the left. Unity on.
Now, I'm not here to try and defend Vosh's transphobic, queerphobic, or perhaps even racist past, okay? It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to defend his potential racist future. That's right, baby. Oh man, let's play some sound effects.
Next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
I gotta wait a second. This Here we go. Okay, sorry. Erase all that. I happen to be LGBTQ plus myself. I have dealt with a lot of bi discrimination, especially within sometimes the LGBTQ plus community. I've definitely felt bi erasure. I think there's a problem amongst bi folk or pan folk, I should say, sometimes to not recognize that your life, especially if you're like me, where you can kind of hide in the shadows, hide in the queer shadows, is very different than the lived experience of someone who is 100% homosexual, and you should respect that, and bi people should respect that. Absolutely. They have different lives than you have had. You haven't had to deal with nearly as much, prejudice, bigotry, all that kind of stuff. Because at any given time, you could just be like, "Oh no, I love woman breast and woman pussy. I'm not one of the gays." So yes, that is a privilege. Being able to be straight coded is a privilege, and so yes, bi people should respect that. Also, and these are multiple things can be true at once, there is a huge amount of people discounting other people if they happen to be bi, and then suddenly saying that they're not queer or not queer enough. And there's these weird kind of fucking queer testing things. I got it really bad when I was going head to head with Xander Hall, and not from Xander Hall himself. I'm not going to say that Xander Hall did this, but people in that community saying like, "Oh, Lance has stolen valor. He's not actually gay, or he's not gay enough, or he hasn't really said he's gay or outwardly gay." That kind of stuff fucking sucks. It really does. It feels terrible. It's brutal, and you do feel like an imposter sometimes. You do feel like you've got imposter syndrome, all that kind of stuff. So I don't support bi erasure at all. So I just want to say there is a big difference between someone who is queer and criticizing aspects of the queer community than someone who's an outsider to that, as far as I know, a cishet, Anna Kasparian, then trying to say whether or not this person who is an inter-community member criticizing that inter-community, whether or not they themselves are problematic because of this. Because, hey, guess what? There's a lot worse clips you could have mined to pick up and put for Vosh. A lot worse ones. I mean, holy shit, have you seen the Anna Kasparian N-word clips, compilations? Where she's just like, N-word, N-word, N-word. Here's this N-word, N-word, then the N-word, and N-word, N-word. And if someone grabbed that compilation today and just posted it up there, the first response would be like, well, okay, she's said she's very sorry for this. She's apologized. She knows now it was wrong, even though she says that she was simply quoting other people who had said it, that she is a white person, should never have said it, even though she doesn't fully consider herself white. But either way, so this is bad, this is wrong, right? The same thing in regards to Vosh. Vosh has come out to either, downplay, discount, or apologize for aspects of what he had said in the past towards different communities. Again, I'm not here to defend either of them. I am here in real time to criticize. You should not be using an intercommunity member and one of their takes as weaponization against them if you're not part of that community. Huge yikes. Again, that's another big old yikes, all right? Someone who is queer, who's like, hey, I take issues with the online queer community, yeah, then the rest of the online queer community can turn around and then be like, that's a fucked up thing to say. Please, Vosh, and especially do not refer to, different people who have been called insane their whole lives as being insane. Do not use our slur in a derogatory term or fashion. That's all been said and that's all been done, that kind of shit, right? You shouldn't have a resume that qualifies LGBTQ plus. Abso-fucking-lot. No, you shouldn't have to be like, oh, well, do you need to see photos? Do you need to see how many man cocks I've sucked? Do you need to, do you need a fucking scorecard? Do you want to talk to previous lovers and get their reviews and whether or not it was gay enough for them at the time? Like any of that weird shit? Like, no, don't do that. That shit is fucked up. Stop trying to erase people just because they're not considered gay enough in the same way. Like, you shouldn't be doing gatekeeping amongst the queer community for sure. And then I'm guessing we'll probably see nothing for another, 2 weeks. That's probably how this is going to go, right? We're gonna wait, and then we'll see absolutely nothing, and then that'll basically.
Well, that's kind of the point, right? Isn't this all to just boost your channels? You're inventing drama because you got bored with the Trump indictments. Isn't that why this is happening? It's just invented drama.
Be that so. Good times. Good times. Do you enjoy the service but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs?
I guess that's it, you guys.